Welcome back to Last Words of Kyle. I'm, of course, Kyle Holden. Thank you all for returning, and if you're new, welcome. Welcome to my podcast. If you were wondering what the clap was at the beginning, this has been recorded. It's now on a video, which will go on YouTube, but more of that later. Right. Big thing that's recently come to my attention is I'm now being played in not one, not two, not three, but 12 fucking countries. So I'm going to give a little shout out to the countries I'm being played in. So thank you very much for sharing the podcast. If you do, or if you've not done it already, follow the podcast, share it. And either DM me on Instagram or leave a little review. So a little what to do, what to talk about, things like that. I really want to know what you guys want me to talk about, what you want to hear. That'd be really great for me as well. So thank you. So the countries I'm listed in, I'm the UK, Australia, Germany, New Zealand, Ireland, the Netherlands, Slovakia, Singapore, Hungary, France, and Spain. So thank you very much for whoever's listening in those countries. And I know someone in Germany, she's definitely listening. So to Emily, my one German phrase, "Es eine keine Lampe." Yeah, means I don't have a lamp or something like that in German. But it was perfectly pronounced because I'm, of course... Well, my dad was born in Germany. I won't say I'm half German, but he was a army baby. He was born in Munster. So guten Abend and guten Morgen to the German listeners. How are you guys? I want to know. I want to know how you are. I hope you're all well. I hope you're living the fucking dream, because I certainly am. It is Wednesday. I'll get this right. And it's 6 minutes past 9 in the evening, and it's Wednesday, the 11th of August. So, how's your week going? It is hump day. Yes, I'm drinking. Again. Mum, I'm sorry, but I love alcohol. It's great. Great question, whoever asked that. Where can I listen to your podcast, Kyle? I will tell you right now. You can listen to it on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Anchor FM, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. I did get an alert saying that it's being worked on, that it's going to be pushed onto more platforms. So once they're available, once they're onto other platforms, I will definitely let you know all about that, so you can get listening to other things. The YouTube is coming at you very shortly. I'm going to put this pen down because I think at one point I'm going to throw it into my phone like a dart. So how this YouTube thing is, that's why I did the clap at the start. It's not been possible to this point because I've not really had the apparatus available for me until my dear friend Ethan gave me his laptop in exchange for a hard drive, which is, I think, is a fair, all I had to do was just move massive amount of his porn. He had lots of it, 2 terabytes worth actually. Moving all of his porn onto a hard drive so he can wank on something else. So actually, massive thank you to Ethan. You should all thank him as well, because not only now can you listen to my angelic voice, I guess I describe my voice as more like a James Earl Jones or a Morgan Freeman, real deep and soothing. Something you can kind of fall asleep to, but just as sort of you're drifting off to sleep, I say the word cunt and it's like a lightning bolt to the dick and you're back awake. Also, my podcast is primarily a male audience. Can't see why. I mean, women might get offended the fact I say cunt every other word. So, I'm going to try and say it less. I'm not going to not say it, but I'm going to use it more as an impact word. I'm just going to get another sip of alcohol here. Like always, if you do have a drink with you, crack it open, drink along, and let's have some fun, shall we? So, recently I've been wondering why caged eggs are cheaper than free-range eggs. Not done the research, don't want to look into that at all. Not the fact that I'm sort of stuck in my ways, more if I'm just a lazy cunt. So it comes to me that free-range eggs are a lot cheaper than caged eggs. Might have something to do with the fact that real estate is expensive. So if you just push all the chickens in little coops and just sort of they cage them, it's fucking horrific actually. But I think the politicians should really get behind putting a tax on caged eggs. So with that, because we all know politicians fucking love taking money. They love taking our money. They can't get enough of it actually. They genuinely masturbate over it. So if you see on the House of Commons and they got that little like dicky, the little handkerchief in their top pocket, that's not for a fashion look. That's to wipe up cum, and that's just the women, I'm afraid. Yeah, and the women are being folded around by third world party sort of cleaners, and they just sort of mop up behind the women because they're taking all the tax money, and that's why they actually have leather seats in the House of Commons. It's not because of fashion or it looks nice. It's just so the cum just wipes up a lot easier than it would if it was on like a material like felt or velvet. So yeah, the politicians love taking money. So I think it's something they can get behind. It's something we can push, and I'm going to start a petition. Politicians to tax caged eggs because it's fucking horrific. And I was like, well, why won't the politicians tax other things like billionaires? Because that's my next goal in life actually. Not only am I going to have 1,000 listeners on this podcast, I'm going to be a billionaire. And that reason, not because of the money, it's because they don't get taxed. And I don't like being taxed. It's my money, fuck off. So, what's been new with me? Recently I've been... Oh, we're out of fucking lockdown. How about that? 8 days of fucking imprisonment in my own home. And for some reason, now there's less cases. It's probably to do with the lockdown, actually. That's happens. When I say cases, I mean COVID. But we're not going to talk about that too much. We're not going to dive into that. Because I really want to get on with this. Because at the end of this podcast, I've got something new for you guys. And no, you can't just skip to the end to find out. You have to listen all the way through my waffle to find out the good news. So, I've got a little set list here. I've not done this yet, so I'm actually going on a set list because it's been made noted that I do tend to just sort of just wind my way through conversation with myself. And it's a conversational skill that I've not learnt yet, talking to oneself. Because it's quite easy to talk to someone else because you get a back and forth. But when you talk to yourself, it's kind of a problem. It's kind of something I'm working on. So this is my solo podcast, and this is number 4. So we've already talked about how caged eggs are horrific, and politicians love to wank over taking your tax money. And I think my next step is becoming a politician to free the chickens. Free those fucking chickens. So what I've been at now, we're out of lockdown. It ended on Sunday at 4 o'clock. What did I do in lockdown? I played a lot of Xbox. Played a fucking massive amount of Xbox. Did I get any better at COD? You fucking bet I did not. No, I'm still shit. My friends still give me fuck about being shit at COD. But there's many things in life that I'd like to be good at. So, but I did get some of this podcast stuff done. Sort of set out a goals list, which is pretty cool. And we're flying on with that. So I've been back at training. I started training on Monday. And what I'm aiming for now is to do 2 hours a day consistently for a month. I want to get, like, in a month's time, I want to look back and I want to be able to do 2 hours a day consistent training. As you can see, if you are watching the video, I mean, I'd fuck me too. Come on, look at me. I know, I'm a bit of a specimen. It's not just the mullet. I mean, I've got it all, haven't I, really? I'm the gift of the gab. But fucking hell, look at this. Developing a gap in my teeth. They literally got a gap in my teeth. Haven't had it before. I think I might need braces. I've done so far so well with not having braces. But I've got a little gap now. I can like push water through it. Been practicing the shower, like filling up my mouth with water and then gargling and then spraying it out. I think that can come in very handy at the rugby club. Although I've not played rugby in some time. I do miss rugby. But yeah, back at training. My body feels like every morning I wake up. Honestly, I wake up and I just go like, fuck! Just scream, because it's agony. But my mind is at, and I've got like a brain cum all the time. My brain feels fantastic. So I really, really missed punching the bag. Because we can't now train with partners for the next 2 weeks. It's a weird thing, it's a weird rule. So you can't touch each other, you can't train each other, but you can be in the gym, sweating, everyone breathing the same sort of air. Doesn't really make much sense, because sort of, if you talk, if you talk about sort of, everyone's just breathing the fucking same air, so it doesn't really make sense. You don't wear a mask when you're training, and everyone's breathing really heavily. You clean down all the equipment and stuff, but still, like, it's not outside, is it? Like, the room just fills up with, literally the walls sweat inside the room. So it's quite a big space as well that we train in. So even like small like box gyms would, like matchbox gyms, tiny little areas, I'm sure they'd even fill up quicker with the sweat. And if you've never been in a gym, like a real hard session, it is like being in like a sort of a sauna, like a steam room. Generally, the walls start dripping. It's kind of fucking disgusting, really, if you think about it. Kind of puts me off training, but it does not, because my mind at the moment is full of brain cum, endorphins. Brain cum. I might write a song on that. But talking about songs, I actually wrote a song in lockdown, so it wasn't all bad. I did get very musically sort of into myself. You might not be able to see, but I've developed finger calluses, not from fingering myself, from picking at the guitar. So that's quite cool. I was trying to grow like longer nails on my right hand for picking, but the sight of long nails on my fingers, kind of, I don't know. I really don't like it at all. Like having my short nails. But then, yeah, it's probably because I can't scratch myself or scratch other people in the eyes. Big thing that happened on Sunday, the UFC interim heavyweight title went to Garn, Cyril Garn. And I said it before, I didn't really say it on this podcast. I did say that Derek Lewis would knock him out in round 3, and it was the other way round. But I did say that Cyril Garn was the better fighter, he's a better tactician, he's so much faster, and he's undefeated now with 10 professional fights in the UFC. He's a fucking machine, like I said before. He moves like a middleweight, he's so fast. And people were saying, like, Derek Lewis sort of felt the pressures of the belt, he felt the pressures of being in the home crowd, this, that and the other. Like, Derek Lewis is probably one of the best heavyweights in the world, and you can't argue that, His whole thing is, he'll go in there, he's a brawler, he'll look like he's in the fight, and then suddenly the person he's fighting is just staring up at the stars, going, what the fuck, I've just been hit by a train. But Derek Lewis can get close to him. I'm going to get the fight stats up, actually, that's what I'm going to do right now. Because I think it was something like 20-8, or... let's have a look. Derek Lewis, all typed in my new laptop, thanks Ethan. Derek Lewis versus Cyril Garn, there we go. Strike difference. All spelled incorrectly, thanks dyslexia. Official stats for Derek Lewis, Cyril Garn. Here we go. We are in. Dun, 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 dun. Oh my god. So Derek Lewis threw a total of 16 significant strikes. Cyril Garn, 112. It just speaks volumes, really, doesn't it? 16 to 112. I mean, it's like he was fighting a toddler. I reckon if I fought a toddler, they might be able to get 16 strikes on me to my 112. Not that I'd condone beating children, unless they sort of deserve it, I guess, or answer back, or they're out of bed, or these sort of things. Just sort of swift backhand. That's how I learned. That's how I got this scar, actually. Yeah, beaten as a toddler. No, I wasn't. My mum was lovely. I only put out 2 cigarettes on me per day. So that was it. So also what I've been going on to now, I just went on a bit of a tangent. Mum didn't beat me, by the way. She was lovely. And So the UFC, so big thing I've been doing at the moment, I did speak about before, is these. These are a gold mine right now. If you're not into trading cards, you should get into them because people pay through the fucking nose for them. So I'm going to do my first ever live, well this is not live, but you can pretend it's live, UFC card break. So I'm going to open these cards up. So let's see if I'm sat on some money here. I can't tell you where I got these from because that's a secret, but you can work out where you are. But if you are in Australia, just to let you know, the market is fucking flooded with people wanting these cards that can't get them because they're massively sort of states. They're all in the USA. So if you can get on to getting them from the USA, you'll be fucking laughing. So here I go. I got a Joanne Chandlerwood. Boom. This is a prism. This is just the normal prism. Oh, fuck yes. Oh, here we go. Now we're talking. Yes. A Francis Ngannou prism. Now, he has got a big fucking challenge up ahead of him with Cyril Gane. Even though they are previous training partners before, and obviously they've trained together, they spar together, it's almost a Derek Lewis versus Cyril Gane all over again. You've got one brawler and then one tactician. And I really do think that we're looking at a new heavyweight champion when we're looking at Cyril Gane. He's just fantastic. He moves like a middleweight. He's like the style bender or the wonder boy of the heavyweight division. It's the classic hit and don't get hit. He's in and out. His footwork's amazing. He's feinting, throwing lots of leg kicks. You don't see it very often with a heavyweight. They'll switch stance. So he'll switch southpaw to orthodox, southpaw to orthodox all the time. And it's fucking amazing. And this is a great card here. This is Michelle Waterson. So I've got Michelle Waterson, not numbered. And this is a green prism. So this is a good card. So yeah, they're like, you get the shiny cards. So that's a good card. Not numbered though. So if there's numbered, they'd be like sort of, it's almost like lasered in on the back. They'll be like, it'd be out of 10, out of 200 or whatever on the back. So that's a cool card. And Miss C. Barber. There you go. Another little prism. So that was well worth the money. So I'm real happy about that I've done this on the podcast. So if you are into the UFC, that they do them with NBA, they also do them with the English Premier League as well. You can really get behind them, and basically every time you buy a pack, you kind of make your money back anyway. So do get behind the UFC cards, and then just sell them on eBay, and you can just sell them for whatever price you want because people will have like their favourite fighter or their favourite football player, and what they'll do is they'll pay through the nose for that person to be in their collection. So that is that. So that was the UFC section of this podcast. So that was for all my UFC fans. Talking about the UFC, there's no UFC this weekend, so I will not be doing my weekly. Will not be doing my weekly live. Reason being, there's no UFC, so I'm not going to do my lives. And if you've not seen them before, every Sunday for the UFCs, I just do an Instagram live. It's like this podcast. I just narrate and just say what I think about the fighters and I give my predictions and things. And I really, really love doing them. They're really, really fun. I really enjoy it. So thanks for people that have tuned in. Been told by a few people they're quite funny. Imagine that. Imagine me being funny. Who would have thought it? I'm smashing through this apple cider. One of my 5 a day for sure. So, new things. Been giving the dogs new food. It's really, really exciting. So, me and Laurie will get food, and I'll always go like, Laurie, can the dogs have that? She's like, no, Carl, they can't have chocolate. Why can't dogs have chocolate? I mean, it's such a cruel thing. Because I love chocolate. I think it's great. Melting it up, putting it on ice cream, melting it up, and then you melt it up in the microwave, stir it, put a little bit of milk with it so it goes kind of hard, and then just eating it, and the dog's just sat there like, oh, give me some of that, cunt. Please give me some of that. I'm like, mate, I can. I love you too much. I don't want you to die. But they can have watermelon. And so me and Laurie sliced up some watermelon, little cubes, and it was the most fantastic thing I've ever done. Giving the dogs little bits of watermelon, it's the best. Their little faces, they've never experienced watermelon before. So that was really cool. So every time I do that, I'm going to let you know what the dogs have tried. New thing they did try was McDonald's chips and barbecue sauce. No, but they loved it. And they only had one. They only allowed one, alright? Not animal abuse, they fucking love it. But the big thing that I was going to go on to, which is what I said at the start. So if you did skip to this point, please go back and listen to the rest of it. And if you're not going to do that, then I can't sort of make you do anything. I can't make you do anything else. So what I'm going to be doing is each week I'm going to be telling you, descripting as much detail as possible about my times and my travels in Australia. So this starts now, this week, my solo 4, and then each week, like I said before, I'm going to go from where I started in Brisbane, and then where I travelled, my farm work, people I met along the way, how I did it in terms of budgeting, because I never have any money, so how I've travelled Australia with literally absolutely no money at all. But also why travelling is so important as well. And I think even with restrictions now with travel, regardless where you live, explore your own country. Travel is something that I never thought would hit me so hard and sort of make me feel things I've never felt before, and it's new experiences and things. And a lot of things I learned about myself along the way that I thought I never would. And it gives you the sense of independence and things that, like, one point in my life that I thought I'd never leave where I was from. And I'm getting to the point now, I was like, do I ever go back to where I'm from? And I do miss my family incredibly, and I do miss my friends so much. But the world has so much to offer outside of this circle, and I really, really do wish I could just sort of take everyone along the way with me, because it's been such an incredible journey. It's had its ups and downs, and I will go into explicit detail on the ups and the downs. And the downs are fucking, I ended up homeless at one point. It was fucking terrible. But, I rescued 2 dogs along the way, all these other things I did along the way. So I really hope you sort of come back to those and sort of, listen in and enjoy my journey as much as I did. So the story starts towards the end of 2018. I need sort of like a fog now. I feel like I'm narrating a play. Here we go. I'm just going to finish this cider and we'll start. Catch yourselves back to December 2018. I went to drama school, by the way. Well, went and auditioned. I did. Can you believe that? Can you believe me being a failed actor? I know. At this point, you finish your beer as well if you do have one. Or your cup of tea, or coffee, or orange juice, if you're drinking orange juice. Oh, here's one I prepared earlier. Right, you fucking slags. Here we go. Cast yourselves back to 2018, December. Previously in that year, my girlfriend Laurie had been living in New York City. She'd been at New York Film Academy as a drama school. And that year, I think it was that year, or the start of that year. No, maybe the year before. I don't fucking remember. It was a long time ago. Anyway, it was when I was leaving college, so I was doing a foundation degree in performing arts. And I was looking at drama schools. I'd previously auditioned at drama schools and was unsuccessful, as most of things I've done in life has been very unsuccessful. Anyhow, I went to do another year in performing, because it's something I wanted to do before. It's something that I've always enjoyed. I've loved being the centre of attention, hence why I have my own podcast. Fuck it, but I have no mic skills. You can see I just punched that half across the room. Anyway, so I did the foundation degree in performing arts, got a distinction. Laurie's really pissed off because it is with performing arts, because it was a lot of it was written assignments. I managed to get a distinction in all of my subjects without doing one single piece of coursework. in a course that was primarily coursework. How I cheated the system. So to not fail a course, all you have to do is submit a piece of work. All it has to include is loopholes. I should have been a lawyer because I find any loophole. All it has to be is your name, the date, and your course or your number or some shit like that. So I found that, and then my tutor came back to me, my first bit of coursework that I submitted. So like, Kyle, you've not actually written anything, you've just submitted a bit of work. I was like, yeah. But I was like, I'm sure that we can get because every lesson we did was filmed. I was like, I'm sure that we can just take the bits of film and then submit them instead of me writing work. And she was like, yeah, that actually works. Yeah, you can do that, and you can just you can just talk to the camera. So that's exactly what I did, and I got a distinction. Whereas everyone else was writing 1,500 words, sorry, not 1,500 pages. Every other week on the things that we were doing, I would just have to just talk to the camera like I'm doing now, just explaining what's happening, just doing what we're doing and do our work and do our performing. So I ended up with a distinction in that. And then after that, was sort of looking for drama schools. So I applied for Lambda, Aura, RADA. They're all in the UK. And I've seen an advertisement online when I was looking at drama schools for the New York Film Academy. So anyhow, I was like, fuck, New York. This guy is going to break it in America. I applied. Didn't hear him back for a few weeks. Then I got a phone call. And it was like from a weird number. And I was like, oh, what the fuck is that? Answered it anyway. Because I kind of like answering phone calls, especially if they're scams. Because I like people to tell me that I've been in a car accident or my uncle's died and I'm inheriting millions of pounds. Even though it's not true, it just sort of is uplifting, I guess. And he was like, Kyle, congratulations, you've been selected for an audition. I was like, all right, cool. How do we go about that? He's like, oh, well, you have to come to New York. Oh, fuck me. It's quite far. Can't swim to New York. So anyway, I accepted the offer for the audition, and then I said to Laurie, I was like, because this is when we were dating at the time. I said, Laurie, you should apply. So she applied. She fucking got in. So then I rang them up, and I just said, hey, look, like my girlfriend's applied. She's got in. You've told her she can have an audition. So any chance that we can have auditions at the same time so that we can travel to New York together? And they were like, yeah, fucking no problem. Come over. So me and Laurie jumped on a plane, flew all the way to New York City, but we arrived at Heathrow Airport like 6 hours early for a flight, as you do for international travel. And Heathrow Airport's a nice airport to sort of hang around in. We were the first people to check in. When we got on the plane, me and Laurie sat in our seats, and they made an announcement saying that not all the luggage is going to get to New York. And we were like, oh, of course our stuff's going to be on the plane. We got here first. Weren't we wrong? So we ended up in New York, and all the baggage on the carousel was going around. And the reason was, how the baggage works is they scan the bags as they go onto the sort of the luggage cart, and then they scan it again before it goes on the plane. So when it was on the baggage cart, it was scanned, but then onto the plane, the machine broke. It had a meltdown, so then they only had half the luggage on. So when the plane was like driving away, you could see out the window, there was everyone's fucking luggage. And I was like, no way is our stuff going to be there. But lo and behold, it was. So we were in New York for a week, and our luggage finally arrived on day 6. So the airline were like, we'll give you loads of money for... we'll give you money for anything you need. Still not got any of that money back. But hey-ho. Anyway, we got into New York. I couldn't afford to go there in the end, and my funding fell through. Laurie was fortunate in the fact that she could go. So she was in New York. She'd come back. So that was the start. And then she come back to the UK, and her mum and her stepdad and Laurie had all had their visas granted to move to Australia. So we were like, okay, cool. Laurie's like, I'm moving to Australia. I was like, well, fuck that, I'm coming with you. So I went to, I think it's like Star Travel now, some sort of Star Star Travel, I think it's called in the UK. It's like a travel agency. I went there and I was like, I want to go to Australia. What can I do? And they were like, here's what you need. This is how much money you need. Blah, 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 blah. I managed to get my flight for £302. One way to Brisbane. And bought my visa, and that was like 250 quid, I think. So if you are looking to go to Australia, looking for visas, literally just type up the country's name. And what you can do is just go visas to that place, and it will just give you a list of visas you need. Instead of paying an agency to do it, you can literally just go on there. It's a lot cheaper. So I did that. So to get into Australia, you need $5,000 to get through customs. I left England with a grand total of £352. Obviously, that's very short of the $5,000 I needed. So I borrowed the money to get through customs. I left Brisbane. I left England on, I think it was the 25th of January. No, the 24th, sorry. So the 24th. So I flew on the 24th, and I landed in Brisbane on the 26th. Worst flights of my fucking life. So I flew from Heathrow to Manila in the Philippines. Halfway across my flight, a guy was having some sort of cardiac attack. He had some angina fucking thing. So I'm on FaceTime to my friend Max at the time, and basically what happened was this guy was having an attack. The pilots announced saying that we're gonna have to make an emergency stop in Russia. So we're somewhere over Russia at the moment. But unfortunately, like with weather conditions and stuff, they couldn't land. The guy made a recovery, so he landed in Manila, and he ended up getting taken off the airplane before everyone else, obviously, because he was quite unwell. But he was well enough to make it to Manila. So that was that. And then I got to Manila, and it was like 2:00 in the morning their time. I'm wearing boots, jeans, a long shirt, and a jacket. We landed, and it was like 98 humidity, and it was 41 degrees. So I'm walking around the airport sweating my fucking dick off. I'm so hot. I'm absolutely out of my mind with just like, what can I fucking do? I keep walking into the toilet and just sort of basically like taking my clothes off and just drenching myself with the tap water, which was all warm. They didn't have cold tap water, if you can believe it. So I'm just there like, what the fuck? What can I do? No shops were open. No one, and there was one shop, and they didn't take any money. They didn't take English money. They only took whatever the Manila currency is. So I had none of that. So I had to wait 4 hours in the airport, just like, oh my God, this is the worst time of my life. And then we got on the plane. Then I was flying with, I think it was Philippine Air. So I flew with, I can't remember who I flew with originally, so we got into another connecting flight, and it was with Philippine Air. And from Manila to Brisbane, it was like 8 hours, I believe. On the way, I think I started praying to a God that I didn't believe in before. Because at one point, you're looking around with there's so much turbulence. The pilots did warn us that we're flying through some sort of like storm systems at the time. Because we were flying, because it's summer in January, like in England, it's winter, but over here it's sort of this area of the world, it's summer, so there's a lot of sort of like cyclone-y kind of weather and things like that. So we flew, and the whole 8 hours, I shit you not, I was sat there just going, we're going to crash, 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 and looking around, and when you see the fear on air hostesses' faces, you start to panic then. Like, the seatbelt sign was on, I was just like, oh my God, we're going to fucking land in the ocean. At one point, the pilot had, like, basically to sort of like reduce the turbulence, they sort of like come at a low altitude. I swear at one point we're sort of like scraping the floor, we're that fucking close to sort of, he had no altitude, like it was fucking horrible. So I landed in Australia, I shit myself because I had all this borrowed money in my account that I had to send back, and I was like, fuck, Australian customs, it's gotta be so tight. You had to go through so much of the legal system for your visas and shit like that. There's like, they've got to be fucking just sniffer dogs. I'm guaranteed I'm going to have someone putting their finger up my ass looking for drugs. All of this. I got to customs, you're like, do you have any of these things on? It basically was like, do you have any fruit? I was like, no. They're really, really fucking hot on like, do you have fruit? Do you have soil? Do you have any fucking plants? do you have any beetles? Do you have any fucking... And they just go through all these fucking things. Do you have livestock? Like, oh, yeah, I've got a cow in my fucking bag, you dickhead. No, I don't. That's before... And then you go up to the security. You got to sort of like... Go like, oh, here's my papers. And as I'm walking through, he goes, no, you're right, mate. Welcome to Australia. I was like, wait, was that it? And I sort of like, kind of like, fuck, I could have bought a load of drugs, really. But missed out on that. Anyway, 26th of January is... I think it's Australia Day. I landed on Australia Day. The Aboriginals call it Invasion Day, rightly so. Met Laurie. Hadn't seen her for a while. And we walked to her apartment. It's in South Bank. It was a very nice area in Brisbane. Overlooks the water. Anyhow, so this is going to be the next sort of 5 minutes, and then I'm just going to leave it here because I'm going to leave... Most of my podcast is going to be about between 35 to 45 minutes. So I'm going to go all the way up to... I moved to an island. Anyway, so met Laurie, met Cindy and Andy, Laurie's mum and stepdad, and it's, you know, nice reunion and things. So I had sort of like the evening with them because I landed, and my friend Roy was in Brisbane at the time. He was like, mate, come out. I was like, mate, I've just travelled for like 2 days. I've not slept. Had the worst time in my life flying. Been flying for literally like 27 hours. 27 hours I spent on a plane. It was fucked. So I was like, nah, not doing it. Next day, I said to Laurie, he's like, hey, look, I have £352. I didn't even have that because I bought Burger King in the airport in Heathrow, so I had less than that. So I was like, hey, I need a job. And she was like, well, you're a good bartender. Why don't you go out, trying to go find some bars. So that night, I put on my finest clobber. That was some sort of shirt, I imagined, some floral patterns. And I went out. So I walked from South Bank to the Valley and all the way around. On that night out, I went to go, oh, fuck, I'm going to need some cash for my beers. I got out $50 and I was like, 50 quid in England is enough for your fucking beers for the night, taxi home and food. First bar I walked into, $15 for a pint. I was like, oh my God, never have I ever drunk in Australia before. I hadn't had a sip of alcohol until I got there. No one pre-warned me how expensive it is to drink in Australia. It's fucked. It's absolutely fucked. $15 for a fucking pint of beer. And I was like, wowee. Anyway, got speaking to the bartender. I was like, hey, look, mate, I'm a class bartender. I need a fucking job. He's like, firstly, you need an RSA. And I was like, fucking RS what? He was like, oh, it's a responsible service of alcohol. I was like, in Australia? Really? Australians have this sort of perceived notion that they're fucking wild cunts and they're this, that and the other and they're wild pissheads. There's so many drinking laws out here. It's, you know, you can't get in bar. You had a drink tonight? Like, yeah, mate, I had a pint down the road. They're like, you're not coming in tonight, buddy. When you have some water, come back 20 minutes. It's fucked. So the responsible service of alcohol I needed is an online course. And basically, the government go, give us your fucking money before you can serve alcohol to anyone. So he was like, you need that. I was like, all right. He was like, why don't you post your CV to the Brisbane Bartender Network and you'll get a job there. So that night, I posted my CV to the Brisbane Bartender Network in hopes to get a job. And I thought, oh, that's it. Now I can enjoy the valley. $200 later. So I had $500. I only have $300 left. I've spent, nearly half of my money. Yeah, nearly half of my money in one night on the piss. By myself, by the way. I literally drank $200 beer, like $200 of alcohol on my fucking own. I woke up in the morning with a fucking horrendous hangover, straight to the fucking rooftop pool, and I got a phone call saying, hey, do you want to move to an island on Monday? I was like, yeah, can my girlfriend come? He was like, yeah. He was like, do you want to run a couple of bars on this island resort? And you bring your girlfriend? Fucking sorted. So, that's that. That was me moving to Australia, why I moved to Australia. So that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen, for the podcast. Next week, you'll find out what happened on the island, why it was the best 6 months of my fucking life, how I earned $17,000 and I left with $2,000. I'll tell you all about that next week. So thanks for tuning in, you fucking legends. Again, a big shout out to everyone in the UK, Australia, Germany, New Zealand, Ireland, Netherlands, Slovakia, Singapore, Hungary, France, and Spain. Which is kind of funny. I've got more listeners in other countries than the UK and Australia. So I'm literally Mr. Worldwide. So you can call me Mr. Worldwide. it's funny how I've got more people that don't know me that like my things than my family and friends, which is, it speaks volumes. I guess I've known my family and friends now for 24 years. They've probably had enough of my shit that they don't actually want to listen to my things or share it or be involved with it. So I guess it's sort of punch to the heart, but welcome to my new listeners. I fucking love you. Thank you so much. And that is Time at the Bar, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your host, Kyle Holden, and this is Last Orders of Kyle. Thank you very much. Good night.